a historical monumental basin with inscriptions from the Diwan of Nasir Khusraw, was presented as a gift to Mawlana Hazar Imam on behalf of the global Jamaat for his 67th Imamat day. The Imam, in a special talika, highlighted the importance of Nasir Khusraw in Ismaili history. Before diving into Nasir Khusraw's life, let's listen to a speech by Mawlana Hazar Imam about Nasir Khusraw.
Poetizing the Prophet's teaching, Nasir Khusraw, the 11th century Iranian poet-philosopher, also extols the virtue of knowledge. For him, true Jihad is the war that must be waged against the perpetrators of bigotry, through spreading knowledge that dispels the darkness of ignorance and nourishes the seed of peace that is innately embedded in the human soul.
Nasir Khusraw was born in 1004 in Qobadiyan, in the eastern Iranian province of Khurasan, today located in northern Afghanistan. We know very little about Nasir's childhood and youth other that he was a Shia Twelver Muslim and that he acquired a fairly advanced level of education, which enabled him to master a variety of subjects, from Quranic and religious studies to Arabic and Persian literature, philosophy, mathematics, and astronomy. He belonged to a family of government officials, and just like his family, he entered the government service in the capacity of a finance controller and in time was a successful courtier in the local Ghaznavid court. He was full of ambition, mentally alert, and gifted in writing poetry. Nasir Khusraw's brilliant career and intellectual talents allowed him to lead a life of ease and luxury, indulging in much feasting and wine drinking. However, as he reached his 40th year, for someone deeply versed in the literary and intellectual sciences of his time, the life of an administrator and courtier began to feel empty and depressing. He became preoccupied with the search for meaning and truth that had inspired him in his youth. While Nasir began his consciously organized search for wisdom, he was particularly troubled by the verse of the oath. According to some sources, Nasir Khusraw said, quote, "Once I happened to read in the Quran the verse of oath, the verse in which God said that his hand was stretched above those people who swore allegiance. I asked a question to myself, what happened to that hand? Where can I now find that hand? The word of God surely cannot turn out to be untrue. Whose hand should we touch when swearing allegiance to God?" Unquote. It was shortly after the Seljuk occupation, when he was 40 to 42 years old and traveling on official business away from his home in Merv, that Nasir had a fateful dream which was to change his life forever. In the dream, he encountered a mysterious person who reproached him for his wine-drinking and aimless way of life, exhorting him instead to seek out reason and wisdom. "Where can I find such a thing?" asked Nasir. "Seek and you shall find," the person replied, pointing westward in the direction of Mecca. The vision had such a powerful effect on Nasir that when he awoke, it seemed to him that he had awakened from 40 years of ignorance by saying, quote, "I have woken up from last night's dream, but now I must awaken from a dream that has lasted 40 years, unquote. And from that moment, he resolved to change his life radically. Upon returning home, he resigned from his position, sold most of his property, settled the debts he owed, and announced his intention to go on a pilgrimage to Mecca. In 1045, Nasir Khusraw began his famous 7-year journey, during which Nasir's itinerary was purposely designed to take him through 2 major destinations, Mecca, the sacred city of Islam, and Cairo, the capital of the Fatimid Ismaili state. He traveled westward through northern Iran, then across Armenia and Azerbaijan to Syria and Palestine. It was only when Nasir Khusraw reached Fatimid Egypt that the prospect of finding the true path to wisdom, promised to him in his dream, appeared to bear fruit. It was the chief Ismaili Dai of the time, Al-Muayyad Fay Aydin al-Shirazi, who was finally able to resolve Nasir's intellectual doubts, initiate him into the Fatimid Dawah, and personally supervise his education and training as a Dai. It was also in Egypt that he took the oath of allegiance, Bayat. Before returning to his native land, Nasir Khusraw had already been appointed as the Hujjat of Khurasan and Badakhshan, which is the senior-most representative of the Imam, responsible for administering the religious affairs of Ismailis in northeastern Iran and the Transoxania region of Central Asia. He also met the Fatimid Imam Caliph of the time, Mawlana Mustansir Billah, to which he devoted many pages of his diwan. He once said, quote, "When the light of the Imam of the time shone upon my soul, even though I was dark as night, I became the glorious sun. The supreme name is the Imam of the time by which I ascended, Venus-like, from the earth to heaven." Unquote. In 1052, Nasir Khusraw returned to Persia, from where he began to teach the Ismaili Muslim faith in the surrounding areas. The 5th to 11th century was a period of intense persecution of Ismailis in Iran, which was dominated by the Seljuks, and the massacres of Ismaili population were not uncommon. His activities seem to have been so vigorous and effective that as a result, Nasir's house was destroyed by a fanatical mob, and he barely managed to escape with his life. Eventually, he found refuge in the remote mountainous village of Yumgan, under the protection of the Ismaili ruler of Badakhshan, Ali al-Assad. Later, under his supervision, a local network of dais and preachers in Central Asia was created. Nasir Khusraw also devoted a great deal of his time to writing. His most popular book is probably his travelogue called Safarnama, but in addition to the Safarnama, where he wrote in detail about his 7-year journey, the most popular writings of Nasir Khusraw include several theological and philosophical treatises, including The Countenance of Religion, The Harmony of the Two Wisdoms, The Feast of the Brethren, The Traveler's Provisions, Knowledge and Liberation, and 6 chapters. Nasir's poetic writings are collected in his diwan, which consists of about 20,000 verses on a variety of personal, ethical, and religious themes. He was able to produce some of the most erudite treatises and passionate poetry in Ismaili literature that have come down to us. To this day, the contents of these works continue to inspire Ismaili communities, not only in Tajikistan, Iran, and Central Asia, but in other parts of the world as well. It is certainly due to his tireless endeavors and strong faith that there are millions of Ismailis in Afghanistan, Tajikistan, China, Chitral, Hunza, Gilgit, Pamir, Yarkand, and more. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life and contributions of Nasir Khusraw. His profound impact on Ismaili history, as well as his works, including his books and his diwan, continues to inspire generations. As we conclude this video, let us reflect on the timeless wisdom of Nasir Khusraw and how his teachings continue to shape our practice of faith. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to sharing more insights and stories from our rich history. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Until next time, stay inspired and keep seeking knowledge.